Wait. Wow. That's a reef tank. That's a mature, fully grown in, mixed reef, beautiful reef tank with this huge squareback anthias right there in the front. I am digging this thing already. The bar is going to be set very, very high on this one, judging based on what's inside. All right, let's see what when we dive deeper into this thing. That's one big fox face as well. Lots of variety here. Okay, back up. First thing jumps out at me right here. What is the dual MP40s on the side? What's right there? Curious. Maybe they had an MP40 and then they just added another MP40. Personally, I'd do one MP60, but I'm sure there's a story there. Again, I'm being picky here because the tank looks beautiful, so the bar's been set very high. Certainly two MP40s right next to one another can work like that. I'm just curious why they're two side by side. All right, so that's the left side. Coming over here to the, wait a minute, hang on. Okay, so we got another two MP40s right next to one another. Again, and there's a story I'm sure there is a story behind that. What's with the cords? We have this beautiful reef tank and we have cords that need some wrangling. Now you don't have to have all your cords wrangled to have a beautiful reef tank, but we've got this beautiful reef tank with cords exposed that aren't wrangled. I know it's in the corner, but I would have those things wrangled so that they're out of the way so it's not distracting from the tank. Again, I'm being picky because this is a beautiful tank, so causing me to be extra mindful of everything else that I see. The livestock inside, though, looks phenomenal. We've got SPS that are at least a couple years old, it looks like. We got a nice big chalice, some hammers up front. Looks like a bubble coral there. Still digging that anthias. Okay, so I'm seeing this one anthias. I would personally get a couple females for the male, just to round it out, because we had that nice, beautiful male there, like show quality male. I'd like to see some females. Looks like we have a coral or a flame angel potentially hanging back underneath that chalice. I'm curious how he does in the tank. But I mean, everything looks just grown in. There's not much real estate available in this reef here, which makes it look great. We got some gorgonians right there, right next to the SPS. We have some motion right next to it. We got a toadstool leather in the back. Okay, so there's some Bacillopora in this tank. That stuff can sexually reproduce in your tank and take over. Personally, I would remove it. It looks good. I'd remove it and get some more stylos, something instead of the Bacillopora. Okay, and it's got xenia in it. I'll give it to this guy in this time. Not what I would put in this tank, but this tank is fully grown in. It may be too hard to remove that. Oh, it's got a cocoa worm too. That's cool. Wonder how long that thing has been in there. Those are always super cool. Haven't had tons of success with them, but hopefully this guy is. We got a chalice that's like taking over the middle of the tank here. We've got all kinds of, it's like red Recordias or Yumas there, more Bacillopora. Is that some kind of turbinaria back there in the back? Looks like something out of Star Wars, that Pillara stuff. Looks like that may be a turb. Can't quite tell. Oh, I'm seeing some GSP. Okay, we've got some GSP. It's on the back. It's contained on a rock. It's got coral all around it. I would remove it, but it's there. Okay, so it's also covering up a little too much of the overflow for me as well. I'd get those rocks out to get more flow into the overflow and get rid of the GSP while we're at it. Kill two birds with one stone and save yourself a bunch of headaches down the line. All right, the zoas are nice. You got a dory in here. Okay, purple mushrooms. Look, these can work. Those have obviously been there for a while. They're tucked away in the corner. They're probably on a base rock. You probably can't get them out. He might have put them in, see how the tank was doing in the beginning. Now I bet he wishes he would take them out. I would try to take some of them out. Looks like some are on the sand bed. I'd go ahead and yank those suckers out. Make some room for something else, especially before those guys pop off and start stinging all this other beautiful coral that's in the tank. We got some Calostera there on, looks like two types there on the sand bed. Beautiful, looks like that's a squamosa clam right there. That one looks healthy right next to it. Looks like a Dorasa as well. Two big, healthy clams. Hats off to the owner for that. And a dendro, a non-photosynthetic, stuck underneath there. I'm loving this gorgonian right here in the front. It's on the sand bed. I always like that presentation because there's not, I can't even think of one coral that's going to grow in the sand and up like that. Plenty of LPS will grow over the sand, but not one that's going to grow up like that. Gorgonians are great for that. That's how I see them in the Caribbean. Love that presentation of the Gorgonian. Here's our male squareback going, where are the ladies? And one yellow tang as well. That's Space Invader. Look, he's got another Maxima clam right next to it, and a blue one at that. That might even be a blue squamosa. 3 beautiful clams lined up that are sizable as well. Okay, so look, here's something I want to point out. There's a little bit of turf algae right there, right behind that yellow tang's tail. Here's the thing about algae. It's not uncommon for a healthy reef like this to have a little bit of algae. I see it out there on the reefs. Not surprising that it's in this tank, but look, it's in one little section. He could easily grab that out. Maybe he trims it. It's not out of control. I don't think it's going to get out of control. There's not a lot of places for algae to grow in this tank. So I bet he keeps that thing at bay. Maybe he forgot to pull it out before he started filming. Overall, though, what I'm seeing right now looks really, really good. All right, now we're going to have a look above. Looks like we got some radions, some vortex from what we saw outside. Okay, so first thing that's jumping out at me is this guy has made an effort to secure everything that's above the tank. The radions are on a nice Ecotech light rack. That's secure. The EcoSmarts are in EcoSmart holders. The Power Bricks are in Power Brick holders. Everything up there is nice and secure. Good job on that, not leaving anything to chance. I am digging that. This canopy is also open top, which is going to let the air out. Looks like it's tall enough that the fish wouldn't get out. If it was mine, I would just go ahead and put some mesh on there just to be safe. He doesn't have any fairy wrasses in here, any known jumpers, but since it looks like there's some crown molding on the top of that canopy, go ahead and cover it up with mesh. We've got 5 radions powering this reef. They are not sure of the light schedule, but I'm curious if maybe the owner can chime in on the comments and just talk about that. All right, so here's something that's not necessarily wrong. My personal taste was those ball valves on the top. Those are home improvement store ball valves. In time, they tend to seize up, especially if you're not turning them frequently. I'm willing to bet that they're on top of the tank. They don't get moved a lot. I would go with a higher quality True Union ball valve as opposed to these home improvement ones. If they haven't been moved in a while, I bet if this owner goes to turn them, they're going to be seized up and not moving. Again, just being picky here because this is a top-notch quality tank. Looks like there's some dosing lines here, so we can dump the dosing right in front of the pumps. When he hooks those up, that's an interesting way to do it. Like, it certainly works. Fine. Okay, so we're back to the cord wrangling. We talked about that. I'm going to let that go. I don't want to beat a dead horse. Curious on what makes this thing tick down below. We should get a look at the sump here. Here we go. All right, so first thing that's jumping out on me here is, so we have what looks like to be a glass tank sump. This is probably a 40-gallon breeder. Again, nothing wrong with that. It can work. We've got a Reef octopus skimmer in here. Looks like he's got 2 drain lines, which I always like having redundancy, and these look like something better than 1-inch drain lines, which I'm not a fan of 1-inch drain lines as well. It's like doing a little aqua power dosing, which I like, and some nice plumbing work here. So we could do a little cleaning up with things. It's not affecting the tank. I just, if you're going to have this great of a tank, why not make it look great all the way around? Just me being picky. Got a fair amount of GFO over there in the media reactor on the right, hard plumbed into the tank. Always like to see hard plumbing. To me, just makes for a nice finished look. Looks like we have a vast skimmate locker there in case that skimmer overflows, which isn't uncommon with the Reef octopus. That's going to land in that skimmate locker and then shut off the skimmer if it gets too high. I'm seeing some dosing containers back there as well. Looks like that's a CO2 scrubber, which I don't personally use. I don't chase pH numbers, but he's done a good job of making a DIY stand nice and neat. He's not just leaving that sitting in on the ground. Good job there on the little bit of DIY work to make everything look good. Looks like we have an external return pump there. Again, I would replace the home improvement store True Union ball valves, but that's just me. Overall though, look, this is proving that you don't have to have all the nicest gear in the world to have a nice reef. This reef is certainly fantastic looking, very stunning, fantastic corals on the inside. This one's clearly come a long way with a lot of attention, consistent attention over the years to make it look this great. I could sit there and stare at that tank all day long and easily be distracted by it. In fact, I'm just going to go back here and just look at the top again at the start just because I can enjoy. It's, yeah, I'm really at a loss for words. Just a great tank, loving the mix of corals. Everything is grown in. This thing looks stuffed, but still got some swimming space. We're not absolutely all the inches of the tank, all the water volume of the tank filled with corals. There's room for these fish to swim around comfortably. Just a nice presentation. I'm really digging it. Good work.